that just kind of gave you an idea of what the slope and the y-intercept controlled. So now I want you to take a look at this. If I give you, because this is what your independent practice looks like. It says, here's an equation, here's a blank graph, graph the line. Here's an equation, here's a blank graph. Well, how is this any different from the last independent practice we did? The only difference is the directions. I'm still asking you to graph it, but this time without a table, which for you should be like, woohoo, because those are pain in the butt, right? So you now kind of know a shortcut. The shortcut is to use the y-intercept and the slope. So do you remember me saying y equals mx plus b? They say b because that's where you begin. So if I give you y equals 1/2 x minus 4, not allowed to use a table. You can use a table to check it if you want. How can I graph this, knowing what I know from what we just did? I need 2 points. That's all I need. Where's my first point? Someone says, go up 1 and over 2. And my question is, from where? All right, you got the up 1 over 2, but do I just get to pick where I start? No. What do you know, JC?
You start at -4.
Yes. You start, this is where you begin, right? So I'm going to go down to -4 on the y-axis. That's the first part. You will get 1 point for that, because here's the thing. I may ask you to label that point too. Know that the name of that is not just -4, because isn't that also -4? This is -4, 0. This is 0, -4. Okay, I got my starting point. Now where do I go? Yes. If I know where to start and I know where to go, do you know why they say M? M is for move. Begin here, move this way. So begin at -4 and move. If is it positive, I'm going up. If it's negative, I'm going down. Okay? So look, from here I'm going to go up 1 and over 2. And you know what? I can keep doing that if I want. Up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. Okay, I only need 2 points. But what if I wanted to get some points going on in this direction? I wouldn't go up and right. I would do what? Down and left, right? So that's going to come in handy. And so now I have as many points as I need. I would take my ruler. You're going to need a ruler today. Connect your points. And there is the equation of the line. Y equals 1/2 x minus 4. Got it? Okay, now that was the simple one. It gets a little trickier, so I'm going to kind of build some in here. So let's do y equals, say, 3x plus 2. Where do I begin? Positive 2 on the y-axis. Now that I know where I begin, I need 1 more point. This is where somebody actually said, boy, this is the first time I actually like fractions and prefer fractions instead of whole numbers. Because looking at that, you might say, I don't know what the rise and the run is. So any number can be made into a fraction by doing what, JC?
Like it's actually 3 over 1.
Yes. So there's your run. It's 1. Okay? So from 2, where do I go? Up 3, right 1. So I'm going to go up 3 from 2 and right 1. Up 3, right 1. Or I could go down and left. But either way, there's the equation of my line. Y equals 3x plus 2. Give them arrows. Got it? Okay? Yeah.
What if there's like no y?
Okay, so let's do those. So let's do this one. Y equals -x. Let's just leave it at that. Y equals -x. I don't see a number after. So when you don't see a number after, you have to know that it's what? Right. If there is no number, it's 0. So where do I start? Where do I begin? At the origin. Now, where do I go? Not only do I not see a number, I just see a negative sign. So what is my slope really? -1 over 1. So be careful, because as I checked first hours and they were doing them, I had people with all the negative ones mixed up. So they had them all going positive. So watch. This is negative. So from here I'm going to go what? Down 1 and then what? Over to the right or left? Right. Down 1, right 1. What good would going down and left do? I had somebody who did all the negative ones this way. They went down and left, and then they drew this line. But here's the deal. Look at that poster. See how that negative slope right here is going down, 2 to the right of this? That's not going down. You can't have an equation with a negative sign right there and then draw a positive line. Like, that should be your big heads up. You should look at that and say, okay, my slope is going to be negative, so which way is it going to go? It's got to go this way for the negatives. Got it? Okay? Let's talk about what's going to happen if you have this. Y equals negative 4/5 x minus 8. Okay? So let's say I'm starting all the way down at negative 8. And then the graph asks me to do what? Go down 4, but I run out of room. Yes. So you have an option. You know that you could do what? Instead of going down and right, you could go up and left. Like, I will literally have people do this. They'll, like, sit and draw, like, whole new, like, graphs, and then they'll go and put the point there. You don't have to do that. Use the space that's on the graph, right? Some of you did that for your test Friday, didn't you? You're like, I'm going to make this graph go all the way up here, even though you could go all the way over here. So instead of going down 4 and right 5, I'm going to go up 4 and... Because look, once you get that second point, now go from here to here. Didn't you go down 4 and right 5? Still works, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind. All right. I don't know if this is what you were talking about, JC, but if you had like y equals 3.
Yeah.
Okay. It's really the same as that, right? And if I want to go by that, I know that my y-intercept is 3. And what's my slope? And what's the slope of a horizontal, or I just said it, of 0 is a horizontal line, because I say I'm going up 0 over 1, up 0 over 1. And so that will be my line y equals 3. If you can get this line without having to look at it like that, and you just know it's going to be horizontal, then go for it, okay? What if you had this? This is kind of confusing. Y equals... So you know you're beginning at... What do you think looks a little tricky about that? It's where the negative is, right? So the negative is with the 3. So you may look at that and you may think, ooh, that one is positive. I'm going to go up and right, up and right. Well, no. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter where the negative is. The whole stinking fraction is negative, right? So even though the negative is not with the 1, I'm still going down 1 and right 3, aren't I? Right? Because you're going to see ones on your paper where the negative's right there. And you have to know that that still means that your slope is down and right, not up and right. Okay? All right. The next trickiest thing that people had a hard time with, and then I need 5 minutes and then I'm done, is what happens when I ask you to graph 4y minus x equals 8. And I asked you to graph that. Yes.
Wait, for the other one, could you also do up and left?
Yes. Yep, you could do up and left or down and right. So, the name of the learning target is I can use the slope and the y-intercept to graph the equation of a line. Right now, I don't know what the slope or the y-intercept is because it's not in slope-intercept form, right? That's why they call it that. So put it there, right? Remember how I taught you how to do that? So I need to solve it for y, correct? I had more questions on this last hour, so I'm kind of covering it a little bit more. What do you need to do to solve this equation for y? First, get x by itself. So add x to both sides. Now, I will show you this. You have a choice. Some people put 8 plus x. But every equation that you get in slope-intercept form, the y-intercept is at the end. Let me just show you. If you do 8 plus x, that's totally okay. Let's divide both sides by 4. Now, 8 divided by 4, they're both positive. That's 2, right? These are both positive. What the heck is my slope? This is where people get confused. What's the coefficient in front of x? The x is kind of like the negative. It can float around to where it wants to go. If it doesn't want to be in the numerator, it could be here. You just can't switch it to the denominator. Got it? So maybe this is something good to write in your notes, that x over 4 is really the same as 1/4 x. Or negative x over 5 is the same as negative 1/5 x, right? So you will come across some slopes like that. So let's do, let's do this one. Everybody had such a hard time with this. X. Oh, and here's the thing. If this confuses you, because what's the y-intercept? 2. But we're used to looking at it at the very end, right? So I'll show you on this one. X minus y equals 12. Solve that for y. Subtract x. Subtract x. You have negative y equals. And you know what? I don't want to write 12 minus x because that might confuse me later. So I'm going to write negative x and then 12. Is that okay? Sure. If you don't want to confuse yourself, write it that way. Now I have to divide by a negative 1 because y is not by itself. It's got a negative 1 there. Dividing by a negative 1 just changes the value. So tell me, what does all this work out to be? X minus 12. Got it? So where do I begin? All the way down here at negative 12. And where do I go? Up 1, right 1. Little baby staircase. Up 1, right 1. Got it? Okay. So